Welcome back, everybody. Day two,
What's up?
week two. We got Doug and Caleb. This is going to be a great matchup. I'm excited to see what these two guys bring. Doug has been practicing. He says he's on point. Caleb, he was born on point. So this ought to be good.
I've been practicing for all 5 minutes.
I said one of those two things that I was practicing. I don't think I said I was on point. I got really lucky on one of my practices.
There you go. Hey, sometimes better lucky than good. So you guys have poured them. You both have been here before. You know how this works. So I'm not going to run through the rules for you guys. Pretty much everybody in the chat has watched this a few times, so they know how this works. I think they just like seeing you guys struggle as well. So I don't know if they really care what the rules are. So without any further ado, you guys go ahead and get started on number one.
Just diving right in. All right.
Just dive right in. While we're doing number one, Caleb, tell us a little bit about you. I know you are the Texas Whiskey Geek. You like and love all things Texas whiskey. You and Corey would get along really well.
Yeah, I'm a big Texas whiskey fan. So,
so tell us a little bit of the newest Texas whiskey news.
Newest Texas whiskey news. We have a whole bunch of small craft distilleries that just released some new stuff recently.
Okay.
Distillery up in Llano. They joined the Texas Whiskey Trail. There's just a bunch of stuff. Actually, I got 2 segments of Texas whiskey news coming out today. Normally, I usually do 1, but I couldn't fit it all in. So
there's
find my Instagram if you're curious.
Yeah. Any mods in the chat? Go ahead and drop links, please. And yeah, there we got one. Doug, yourself, you have some exciting news.
Yeah, if you're okay with me doing self-promotion.
Absolutely, 100%.
So yeah, I'm currently wearing my McCarthy's swag because we just did our first barrel pick for our podcast, The Single Malt Frontier and the Whiskey Lodge, which is behind me over there. This is a 6.71 year rum cask matured McCarthy's Oregon single malt, which is heavily peated. The cask is pretty neutral, but does bring beautiful tropical fruit notes to it. So it's obviously a rum cask. It's got a really delightful dynamic evolution on especially the finish. It's really good. The thing that I could have hoped most for with this pick was that it would be something that is possibly in my running for Whiskey of the Year, and it has absolutely achieved that.
And for those of you that don't know, the Single Malt Frontier podcast, sometimes the shows get a little long. However,
yes,
the guests that they have on are absolutely fantastic guests. They all have been wonderful people to listen to, a plethora of knowledge across the American single malt field, from things like distillers of good American single malts and wine people for cast finishing information and so on and so forth. It is an excellent podcast. Please tune into the Single Malt Frontier podcast at least a few times. You probably won't be disappointed if you're into serious nerdery and geekery, because it does get nerdy in there, and it's wonderful. I'm all for it.
There was the one that was geekier than I could handle when we had Reed Huddleston on, who is a distiller expert with a literal master's degree, and I just let him tell me whatever he thought was cool and geeky, and I was like, okay, let me take out my notebook because I can't.
I gotta process this.
Yeah,
info. Yeah.
I will say we're trying really hard to bring that runtime down because we know that that's a challenge for people. Over 2 hours is just a lot to ask. So we are trying to keep it to 1 hour 45 or less. Okay. So that's a change that we've made recently. So don't be, I mean, I know that's still a long runtime, but don't be as worried about the unbounded 3.5 hour long.
I don't remember which one it was, but there was one that went 4 hours, I think.
At least 3.5. Caitlin Bartlemay on vodka.
Okay.
So whiskey nerds got to geek out about vodka for the first time, pretty much. So
it's all right. It's a spirit. You got to run it through still. So I'm going to go through a little bit of roll call while you guys are tasting. And you guys let me know when you're ready. We have Smoked by Ash Joe, Whiskey Addict Mike, as usual. The first two people here at 6:19 and 6:30, respectively. Joe's Whiskey Den is in the house. Thank you, Joe. Yeah, Spicy Strawberry. Here she is again. And what else do we got? Brian F is in the house. Thank you, buddy. Single Malt Frontier is here. I hope so. Who else do we got here? Patricia. Patty is in the house. Thank you, Patty. Caesar is bourbon. What's up, buddy? Whiskey Shaman. Thank you. And that is all we got for tonight so far. Everybody must be watching football.
Football game.
Yeah. Thursday night football, screwing up the blind sample showdown. Gonna have to contact the NFL and have them change their time to 8 o'clock.
Well, we have all the important people here, so
I know. Yes, Joe, thank you very much. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for notification. I do these right now for the first 8 weeks, every Wednesday and Thursday at 7 o'clock. And after the first 8 weeks, it'll switch to just Wednesdays again. The 2 times a week was to speed up the first round a little bit. Otherwise, that was going to go for 16 weeks. And I didn't think that was a great idea. So we opted for this one, and I'm liking it. So I'm liking the 2 nights a week.
keeps it rolling. It's good.
It does. It does keep it rolling. I kind of, in between lives, I kind of forget how to keep a good flow going, and this is helping a lot to keep that.
Yeah, it's
keep
great.
that up. Dan, the Whiskey Punkard, is in the house. Thank you, brother. Coming in with the Mortal Kombat theme music. Mike also likes the 2 nights a week. Oh, good to hear. Uh-oh, there goes the neighborhood. Whiskey Franco came in. How you doing, buddy? I am drinking in honor of both of you tonight. I'm drinking. I forgot which one is which, and they're both peated, so I can't really tell. One of them is McCarthy's. Is it PX or Oloroso? This is the PX. 6-year-old McCarthy's. And the other one is the peated Balcones finished in a Sauternes cask.
Ooh, I love that one.
Oh, it's one of my favorites. I really do like that one.
That also is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Probably that's got to be my favorite from Texas.
The Balcones peated single malt is good. And that
Sauternes
just really ramped that up to almost perfection.
Yeah.
I saw you had that one, and I was like, I hope if that is in my glass, I'd be able to pick it out, because that is one of my favorites. But since you're drinking it, I'm pretty sure that's not what we're drinking. I mean, this one is for sure not that.
Yeah, definitely not.
My chair is awfully squeaky tonight. I'm not sure if it's coming through on the microphone or not, but
I'm not hearing it.
okay.
Fun thing, though,
my volume is turned down though.
That Balcones peated finished in Sauterne came out the same year as what I think I'm drinking. Just throwing out vague, weird non-hints.
Tony, good to see you, buddy. Thanks for popping in. Appreciate that, Brian. Now, how would you know I can keep a secret? There's an inside joke going on right now, and you'll probably see reference to a lot of it tonight. We are actually, as our meetup group, we are going to the Wisconsin Whiskey Fest in Milwaukee tomorrow. So a lot of us are meeting up, and there was one person that isn't typically been in the group yet, but wanted to join, but wanted to keep it a secret from everybody. So let me know, got an extra ticket, and everybody in our group has been trying to figure out who it is, and are really mad at me that I don't break or show any kind of thing on my face that says otherwise when they guess people. So then everybody started playing along. That isn't, there's just right now there's like 10 extra people going. So nobody really knows what's happening. Thank you, Spicy. And Caesar wants to know what you guys are picking up on this one.
I feel like it would be tough for me to give notes without revealing what I think it is.
I've written my stuff down, so whatever you want to do, man.
There's something about it that is like a spicy that makes me think there's a possibility that it's something like malted rye, but the taste is so familiar to me that I'm fairly certain it's not that.
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, there's some kind of sherry, I'm pretty sure.
I get I'm getting a lot of green apple on, like, not like fresh green apple, but like baked green apple on this.
Okay. That's a nice
I'm
note.
getting like the almond extract.
Oh yeah. My guess is totally wrong. Now that we're talking about it, I'm like, oh man, I want to change it, but I'm gonna leave it.
I
It's a
like
little on
that
the hot
almond
side.
extract note, Doug. I like that a lot. I get that.
Yeah,
I get that on
there's
a lot of whiskeys.
few
And I enjoy it.
distilleries. For me, I think that in combination with a couple of other aspects here, there's a few distilleries that have that profile, like not a ton. It's a little on the hot side. Like from looking at it, I don't think it's extremely high proof, but it drinks like a 60%.
Oh yeah.
How are you guys typically on proof?
Awful.
I don't remember.
I usually don't. It's rare that I pick up anything that's below 100 proof. So like that throws me off if there's something that's below 100 proof.
Okay. I'm terrible at proof as well. Blind. Nora touched on it last night. She said she was so used to drinking very high proof stuff that it kind of throws you off for lower stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I tend to agree with that because I have a hard time picking up anything that isn't 55, 58, somewhere in that range and above. And this is definitely the McCarthy's. I was able to figure it out.
Oh, what you're drinking?
Yes.
Just gave it away.
For cask guesses,
like
do you want specific type of cask? Like specific type of sherry, for example?
Okay, so if you're going to say sherry, just say sherry.
Okay.
You can throw out what you think it might be, but it doesn't matter. As long as you say sherry, I'm blanketing all the types into sherry.
Cool.
Beer casking is the same way, except for stout. Stout would have to be called out.
Yeah. Specific stuff.
This is really good. I really like this a lot.
Yeah, I'm digging this one.
I think we've already won, no matter who wins, we've already won. We got an excellent sample.
I get the sample set last night was a really good sample set. I thought it was a really nice set of samples. This one, I think, is one of the best set of samples.
Yeah.
So you guys got lucky with these holes.
That Johnny Walker that you had last night, like my wife and I were watching that live, and she's like, I'm like, Johnny Walker, Johnny Walker, Johnny Walker. And she's like, What?
So Nora had that observation that the other glasses being open may have been interfering with her nose. So
Mhm.
I've capped the other 2 samples just to make sure, but I don't think I'm all the way over here and they're all the way over there. I think it's probably fine.
Yeah, if they're sitting right here in front of you, I believe that could happen. I know I've poured, excuse me. I know I've poured some whiskeys in a glass that I can smell from 2 feet away.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm done with this one.
You ready to go?
I'm locked in.
All right, Doug, we're going to start with you. Go ahead.
Oh, we're doing guesses first. Okay, cool. I thought we were saving that all for the end. All right, so
We'll do the
I'm
review
saying,
at the end.
yeah, generic single malt, 57% new and used. Specific when you're ready. Sorry.
Okay.
Specific is new oak and sherry, finished in sherry. Exact distillery, Cedar Ridge. Exact bottle, Lost Lantern, Cedar Ridge, finished in sherry.
Okay, 1 second. So you said new sherry.
Yeah, new oak and sherry.
Okay. Specific proof.
57.7.
57.7. Specific category.
American single malt whiskey.
ASM. Okay. And then exact distillery, you said
Cedar Ridge.
and exact bottle.
The Lost Lantern, Cedar Ridge, ASM, finished in sherry.
That first fill sherry. Got it. Caleb, shoot him.
All right. I'm going a different direction. I also think it's a single malt, though.
Okay.
I think the proof is a little bit lower. It tasted more like 48, under 100 proof to me. So I'm going to guess 48%. Used casking. I got some biscuit on there, so I'm guessing that this might be a little bit of an Irish single malt. I'm keeping it at 48%. I'm gonna say ex bourbon and possibly Teeling single malt.
I could
So
see
you
it.
said these are really good bottles, so maybe I'm totally off.
There are people who think that Teeling single malt is really good.
I don't dislike Teeling. I think it's good.
Yeah, it's just kind of
price wise. It's you'd want to say it's a good bottle.
Right.
True.
All right. Got your guesses down. Move on to number 2.
All right. Ooh.
Okay. Oh,
That's interesting.
it's got like a raspberry jam, but like a fresh green or raspberry, strawberry, something like that, but like a fresh green version of whatever that fruit is.
I need to catch up on these comments here.
This smells like fruit roll up.
Yeah, it smells really sweet.
This is 100% accurate, Martin. Sometimes rye spice can come off as higher proof and vice versa, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm totally wrong. I mean, that last one probably was a malted rye of some sort.
Possible.
Really good legs, but
I thought there was a possibility that it was the Cedar Ridge malted rye, but I didn't see that on Germ's list. So,
fun fact for you: all rye from Cedar Ridge is malted.
nice.
So even though they just say rye on the label, it is malted rye.
Oh, okay.
They didn't want to throw people off by putting the extra word on there, so they just labeled it as rye.
Well, all right then. That opens it up quite a bit more, and I'm probably wrong.
For some reason, Caesar, I don't necessarily like any of this that you got going on there, but that does sound good.
I
Jack
keep
and
seeing this
Cherry
Jack
Coke.
and Cherry Coke. Is that the pre-canned one?
Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Apparently a brand new product. I just saw a review
Yeah.
for it, and I disagreed with the review saying that it was cheaper than making it yourself. I just don't see that being possible.
Cheaper
Buy a
than
Cherry
making it
Coke, buy a bottle of Jack. It's going to cost you like $2.
instead of
Rough
$4.50
Spirits,
for the
$4.
can.
Yeah,
Rough
it's
Spirits
like
has
$4.
joined us here. He's done
Hey,
packing from
Marshall.
Wisconsin. Somebody's guessing a 16-year-old light whiskey.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
can't nail down what grain I think this is. It's got a strong type of finishing on it, though. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's very candied.
There's a guess.
Cobalt jackfruit.
It's like watermelon bubblegum. None of this tells me what it is.
No.
And since half the people in the comments are traveling to Wisconsin this weekend, I hope you all make a stop in at Richard's Liquors. They are the sponsor of the Blind Sample Showdown. It is a fantastic liquor store. And since you're coming to Wisconsin anyways, guys, we got to get you all there. But realistically, Richard's, fantastic liquor store in the state of Wisconsin, probably the best one in the state. Maybe not necessarily the biggest, but what they lack in structural size, they make up in selection size and quality. So please, if you do make travel plans to Wisconsin, they are not complete without a stop at Richard's.
Jerem, I just realized your list has all the quintessentials. I didn't even factor that in. I might have changed my answer just knowing that.
I don't have all the quintessentials, but
There's like 12 of them.
you can see them. They're right there.
I don't know why I thought they would all be labeled Cedar Ridge. I'm just going on the list, man. The list, you're right. So my thought here, so there's a possibility that using the list will screw you up.
Mm-hmm.
But my thought was, if I'm choosing a specific bottle and I guess something that isn't on your list, that's just dumb.
True.
Yeah. Realistically, one of the things that crossed my mind when I sent that list to everybody was now when there's talks about something, I don't feel bad. Like there's been a lot of times in the past where somebody's been talking about something and I want to say, I don't know if I've ever had that, or I don't have that one or something like that. And I have to try to catch myself from doing that. This way here, I kind of eliminated that.
This is a weird one.
Yes, it is. I have a guess that I feel okay about given certain clues, but I'm very likely wrong.
Thank you, Marshall, for sharing all these links. That's perfect. Dan, I hope you're noted that you need to stop at Richard's when you make a Wisconsin travel plan. I know you're not too far away. This is almost exactly what I said, Joe. We got a little celebrity endorsement here for Richards. Whiskey Franco, aka number 23. He says the picks that he's had from Richards have been great. You are correct, sir. They are great. And how are you guys coming along?
Not great. I don't feel confident about this one in any way.
This one's stumping you a little bit, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, good. That means I'm doing my job. Everybody isn't so confused with this. I did flash this comment up there. That is a slogan for Richards Liquors, by the way.
those dick pics.
Dick pics. I love dicks. Yes, all of that. He plays on the name very, very well. And oh, Marshall. Good choice, buddy. All right, while you guys are finishing that one up, also 10th Mountain. What happened? I was clicking the wrong one. 10th Mountain Whiskey Company, also a sponsor. Vail, Colorado. Colorado travel plans should include a trip to Vail and stop in and see the guys at 10th Mountain. Fantastic story, fantastic outlook on business plan, fantastic stuff that they do with veterans and all of that. Bourbon whiskey, rye whiskey, single malt whiskey. I'm not sure if they make clear spirits or not. I don't get into clear spirits too much, but if they do, I'm sure they're fantastic as well. So thank you to 10th Mountain Whiskey. Brian loves the 10th Mountain Rye. All right. Last night was a lot of chitter chatter between Randall and Nora, and you guys you're serious. I like the serious. I think Doug is perusing the list right now. I think that's exactly what he's doing.
I am absolutely. Yeah.
I see him looking at the other screen.
That's what I've been going through.
Oh, and you printed it.
So we're both nerds that took our cheat sheets into the test.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we did a little bit of chatter earlier, and then we had to allow the host to entertain the guests a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's two completely different things I think this could be, and that's what's really throwing me off. And so I was looking at the list because I feel like I'm confident enough about the ABV that it disqualifies one of the directions I was going in.
The process of elimination is a very useful tool sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially if you feel like you've got it narrowed down to a couple, and then you can really go from there. Patty is going to have some Westward Bottled and Bond. Excellent choice. That was a very good whiskey. I haven't so far been a huge fan of Westward. Their cast strength stuff was really good, I thought. Their regular stuff, not as good. But that Bottled and Bond was rather nice. Patty shared some of that with me. So that was a really good whiskey.
One of my favorites they've put out recently.
Yeah.
The other one, I think the Sauterne cask is probably my favorite Westward that is from that's not a barrel pick.
Okay.
The aficionado's pick of the Cabernet cask is probably my favorite one in total.
Okay.
The Bottled and Bond and the other recent one that was the Vintner's Cuvée. Both are a little higher proof than their usual 45%, and they're both really, really good whiskeys. And they've lost a little bit of that raw beery edge that they've had for the last couple of years. And I really like that about them.
That's what was slightly turning me off to them, that raw beer edge that they had. So if they're losing that now, I think I could probably start getting back into them a little bit more. Spicy with some Orchard House. That's a great whiskey spicy.
Orchard House.
Whiskey Addict with a Westland single barrel. Anything specific on that single barrel, Mike? Patty says the Stout Cast has been her favorite. And you guys let me know when you're locked in and ready to rock.
Yeah, this is a tricky one, but I'm just shooting from the hip.
This is going to be that Bizarro rice whiskey that you guys were drinking in the exhibition match.
JT Millet, yeah.
I would love to highlight this one. I'm not going to quite highlight this one, but Marshall is into the Tom's Foolery Rye, and he's really liking it. He says it's very good. All right, Caleb, start him off.
All right. I believe this is a single malt. I believe we're just over 100 proof on it, about 51%, I'd say. Obviously used. I think it is a single malt Scotch, and for specific proof, I'm going to say 105. So 52.5%. And I believe this is finished in ex-bourbon, ex-sherry, and some other wine cask. I think it's triple cask finished. And I'm going to guess
on that wine.
The sweetness in there coming through. I mean, it's probably. I don't know. The wine names are.
Yeah,
I'm at a loss for wine names right now. I know sherry.
Some of those get a little tricky.
Yeah.
Distillery bottle.
I'm gonna guess your Auchentoshan 3-wood.
Okay, I can see where you're going with that.
Okay. And Doug.
All right. So for me, more than anything, this was screaming port finished. So it's not loudly malt to me, which suggests that it's a little older, possibly. So what I was initially aiming at was an older Canadian with a port finish. So I thought that was the JP Weiser's 22, but it's not high enough alcohol to be that. So this is my guess. Single malt, generic 49%. Generic used casks. Specific is single malt Scotch. Do you want a region or do you not care?
Nope, no region.
Okay. Specific ABV 50%. The specific casking is ex-bourbon and port finished.
And distillery bottle.
Aaron port cask.
Yeah, I can see the port on that. That was. I don't know why the wines are having a brain fart.
All the wines are tough.
If I had an option for something that seemed to fit this, that was a red wine cask, I probably would have chosen that. Because this tastes to me a bit like the Stranahan's red wine cask, but like not as honey. Like I don't think this is Stranahan's at all.
No, I don't think so. But it will be though. It doesn't quite fit their profile.
Wouldn't that be wild?
All right, moving on to 3.
Ooh, this one's good.
I don't know that one, Mike. I know I'm a long time in between asking the question and responding to you, but I do not know that one. It
Oh
sounds
my.
fantastic.
Okay. Now this I like.
Mhm.
I liked them all. This is
Mm,
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that.
yeah. So
Mike, thank you.
I'm pretty sure I have a pretty solid guess at this one already.
And there they are. And since we ran through the first 2 sponsors, we'll do the third and final one. Bourbon with Friends, since they're here. They're late, but they are here. The Bourbon with Friends podcast. Yes, I know there's a little cross going on here, but Bourbon with Friends podcast, guys. If you haven't tuned into that, it is a fantastic show. Brian, Adrian, and Martin are a joy to listen to. They do have some fantastic guests on as well. Not only in the bourbon world, they have expanded it into a couple other areas as well. But they don't take themselves too seriously, and there is always some kind of weird squirrel question, which is really fun. So,
squirrel question.
yeah. Uh-oh, my mouse died. So, Bourbon with Friends is going to stay up there for a minute until it comes back. I hate it when it does this. But anyways, you guys are both liking this one. It sounds like.
I'm just eliminating possibilities right now. I'm going down a list of possibilities and like, nope, not that, not that.
So the whiskey that really first pulled me in and got me interested in whiskey was an Islay Scotch.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Same.
which one was that?
It was the Lagavulin 16 was the very first whiskey that I remember tasting and be like, oh my God, I didn't know that whiskey could taste like this.
Mm-hmm.
For me, what got me into malts was Yamazaki 12 back in 2015 before it was a tater.
Mm-hmm.
And then what hooked me on Scotch was Port Charlotte 10.
That's a good one. That bottle never seems to stay on my shelf.
Port Charlotte 10 is super good. I agree. That is one of my favorite Islay Scotches. Is Port Charlotte 10. But again, it's Brooklotti, and they have a hard time doing anything bad.
True.
Oh, come on.
Not sure how I feel about the paper packaging.
You know,
But
in all honesty,
the one that's real wild is the Johnny Walker that's actually a paper bottle. Have you seen that one?
No.
Oh, yeah.
How long does that last for?
Looks like
not
a
long
carton.
enough. Yeah, not on my shelf. Not nearly long enough.
Well, I mean, they proof it down so much that it probably isn't enough alcohol to eat through the paper. So, oh, come on, mouse.
All right, I have a question.
Shoot.
No particular reason, but what does SMWSRR mean?
Rare release.
Rare release. Okay, I had never seen that before.
So, certain festival releases, they go through and do a Speyside festival, an Islay festival, a Highlands, yeah, all of that. So those all get tagged as rare release. Sometimes there's exclusive casts, so like a USA exclusive we'll get tagged that way.
This
Yes,
is
I'm
not Johnny
over
Walker
here.
Green Label.
Mm-mm.
I am over here having technical difficulties. My mouse pointer doesn't move on the screen at the moment. It does this every once in a great while, and then all of a sudden it just decides to come back and work like normal. So I don't know what that's all about, but my guess is that the wireless loses connection somehow, some way, and then comes back. There we got her. See, and it came back.
I just wonder if this is a curveball American whiskey using Scottish Pete.
Could be.
Hey, Donald Rance, thanks for joining, buddy. Sorry if I missed you. I know I haven't been able to scroll down on the comments for a few minutes here.
All right, Jerm, I have a question for you. Is there any Lost Lantern you haven't bought?
Yeah, actually, there's quite a few. So their whole first year, I didn't jump
Okay.
onto the Lost Lantern train until after they were pretty much done with their first year. And then the whole summer of bourbon of 23, I bought 2 bottles out of that whole release. So I missed out on like the new riff. I missed out on the Iron Root. Some of the other ones, the Smooth Ambler, some of those. I missed out on a couple of the St. George's that were early on. I do have the Mountain Meadow, but they released a few just regular single malts from St. George that I missed out on. So, but since I have joined the Lost Lantern train, I just pretty much opted when they do a release. I know that it's when it's coming, kind of like we have a generalized idea, and I just make sure I budget accordingly, and I know I'm going to buy the whole lot when they release it. Yeah, I don't even bother. I have not ever once had any questionable whiskey from them. Everything has been top notch. Really good examples of, all of the categories that they've released. The introduction to a few of the distilleries has been fantastic. So it doesn't bother me to buy the whole lot. Now, when they dropped the 9 bottles for the summer of bourbon this year, that was a little rough, but
How much was that?
It's just a shade over $900, I think.
Yeah, it's not
Because they
bad.
give you a little bit of a break if you buy the whole, if you buy like a group of them, like they'll separate, like you want this whole set, you save $30-$40 or whatever, on the whole thing. So I think it totaled out was like $930 or $940 or something like that for all 9 bottles. So I mean, you average out to $100 a bottle, which realistically, we're not unused to spending $100 on a bottle.
Yeah. I'm ready.
Oh, stop, Marshall. Laga 8 is fantastic, Martin, and the Offermans have been very good too. I think Lagavulin shines in that 8 to 11 year range. 16 gets a little light for me. I do like it.
These comments.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm ready when you're ready.
Let me know when you're ready, Doug.
I think I'm ready. I was just writing in my sheet so that I don't second guess myself as I go. but I think I have locked in a at least a match.
Yes, I do, Martin. I do have the Starlight bourbon from Lost Lantern. Okay, Doug, fire him off whenever you're ready.
All right. It sounded like we were both pretty much thinking that this is an Isla single malt. So that is definitely single malt Scotch. That's what I think.
Okay.
Generic ABV 58%.
Okay.
Generic cask used. Specific category peated single malt Scotch, Isla Scotch. Yep. Specific ABV was 58.4. Specific casking is refill sherry finished in sherry.
Okay, so sherry. Perfect. And you got a distillery and bottle.
I do. It's the SMWS Kalila Distillery 53, rare release, throw the cork away.
That is such a good whiskey.
I agree.
All
Caleb.
right. Going down the line with him, I believe this is a single malt.
Okay.
I think we're looking at about 45% ABV. 45%.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a little bit lower. Definitely used casking. Specific category, I do believe it is an Isla Scotch. We're going to go specific on the ABV. I'm going to bump it up a point. We're going to go 46%. Because I'm not as familiar with the casking on these things, I'm going to say ex-bourbon because a lot of them use ex-bourbon. And I think that this is probably the Lefroy Allure. I haven't had the lore in a long time, but I think this reminds me of that.
Also an excellent whiskey. Okay. Do you guys have one of the samples that you agree on as your favorite?
Number 3.
It's close between 1 and 3 for me. But I think if I had to pick one, I'd say 1.
All right. Sample number 2 is what we're going to start with.
Okay.
All right. Sample number 2. You both said single malt. You both got a point. It is a single malt.
Yay!
Woo!
For generic ABV, Doug, you said 49%. Caleb, you said 51%. You both are very close. Doug, you are going to sneak a point on that one, just barely.
Nice.
The
Okay.
exact ABV is 47%. So you were
Okay.
within the plus and minus 2 on that one.
Good job,
Generic casking, you both said used. You are wrong. It is new.
Really?
It is new number 3, or yeah, new oak number 3 char.
Is this Stranahan's? God damn it.
Specific category. You both said Scottish single malt. It is an American single malt.
Hey, son. Yeah.
Stranahan's.
47%. So you didn't get the point on the specific ABV. Specific casking. You both said ex-bourbon. Doug, you said port. Caleb, you said sherry and wine. It is new oak only.
Okay.
So that leaves the distillery guesses of Auchentoshan and Aaron with the port cast and the 3 wood. Incorrect. It is the Stranahan original.
Okay, which Diamond Peak is
Original
that?
Diamond Peak. This is the original Diamond Peak. So they discontinued this a few years back. It went silent for like 2 years, and then they came back with it, but now it's their cask finishing series. So this, at the time of this release, was their oldest stocks. So this is somewhere between 6 and 9 years old.
Okay.
So it's just shy of Mountain Angel, but it's older than the yellow label.
I can't believe
It makes
this
a lot of
Stranahan.
sense. I'm
I
glad
love
that I
this
called
whiskey.
it out at some point.
Yeah.
You
to
did, and
retain
I
some
was
credibility.
I was dying
Good job, man.
inside. I was like, you were saying something about Stranahan's. I'm like, Jesus, I can't. I had a hard time holding it together.
We overthink it. You gotta go with those first impressions, man.
So, Doug, you got 2 on that one. Caleb, you got 1 on that one.
Good job, Doug.
That was a fun one.
Yeah,
We
was a
both
fun
enjoyed
one.
tasting that for sure.
All right, so sample number 1 is the next one that we're going to go through.
Okay.
Generic category. Again, you both said single malt. You both took a point for that. It is a single malt. Generic ABV. Doug, you said 57. Caleb, you said 48. So you guys are quite a bit off from each other. But Doug, you were very, very close.
good job.
The exact ABV is 59.82.
Oh, so I
Wow.
still don't get the point.
So you were still, yeah. You
Okay,
just
so
missed it.
before
But
you
you
keep
said
going,
before you
Before
said
you keep going.
57, you said this drink's 60%.
uh-huh.
And I was
Exactly.
like, man, that's pretty damn good.
So before you keep going, this initially smelled to me exactly like the quintessential Tokai.
Okay.
And that's on your list. So I just want to put that out there. I didn't know that was on the list. I'm not trying to get points for it, but that's what I think this is now that I know that's on your list.
Okay. Fair enough. Casking. Doug, you said new and used. Caleb, you said used. Caleb, you took a point for that one. There is
Alright.
no new casking in this one. Specific category, American single malt, Doug. Irish single malt, Caleb. It is an American single malt.
Nice.
Specific ABV proof. Doug, you stayed right at that 57 mark. Caleb, you stayed with 48. It is 59.82 or 119.65. And I am sure there's a few people in the chat that know what this is now.
Yep.
Specific category or specific casking. Doug, you said new and sherry. Caleb, you said ex-bourbon. Caleb, you were very close, but it is then finished in a Sauternes cask.
Ooh. Okay.
Doug, exact distillery. You said Cedar Ridge. Caleb, you said Teeling. Doug, you did get 2 points for that. It is Cedar Ridge.
Yes.
Nice.
But the exact bottle that it is not the Tokai,
But the Sauterne.
but a Sauternes finished quintessential.
Mm.
Well, I'd say, hey, can you send me a sample of that? But
Just did.
You got a sample right there, yeah.
nice.
The Tokai would have been a fabulous guess. I think they're actually very, very similar tasting whiskeys.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the Tokai is closer to 57% also. So I still would have been wrong on that basis.
Actually, in all honesty, I bet you it's almost right on the same. Right on the, they're all like 117 point something to 119 point something, and they usually all stay in that window.
I gotta drink more of that Cedar Ridge stuff.
Cedar Ridge is really, really good, and it's got a very distinct distillery profile.
Yes,
like I'm open to the possibility there's another distillery out there that tastes like this, but I have a feeling I'd always identify as Cedar Ridge.
Cedar Ridge is good. Sample number 3. You guys are on a very, very similar page here to each other.
But not
unfortunately, to the answer. Unfortunately, you weren't on the same page as the sample. So,
no.
Okay. You both got 1 point on this sample.
Okay.
Oh, geez.
And your 1 point came at the generic category. It is a single malt.
Nice. Okay.
Doug, you said single malt. Caleb, you said single malt. That's a point for you both. Generic ABV. Doug, you said 58. It is actually at 50. So Caleb, you were both pretty close. You were a little low, Caleb. Doug, you were a little high, but it's right at 50% under proof. Generic casking. You both said used. It is actually new and used. Specific category. You both said Scottish single malt. It is an ASM. Specific ABV proof. Doug, you said 58.4. Caleb, you said 46. Again, we're at 50%. Doug, you said sherry and sherry for casking. Caleb, you said ex bourbon. It is new charred oak and first fill ex
I
bourbon.
think I know what this is. Maybe I don't know what this is. Okay, keep going.
Distillery. Doug, you said Coila. Caleb, you said Lafroig. Your bottle, Caleb, was the Lore. Doug, yours was an SMWS bottle. It actually is. And Doug, you're going to hate me. This is Westland Solum, the second edition.
Of course.
goodness.
There was something about it that I was like, oh, Solum 2 doesn't taste like Solum 1.
Okay, so now with your guesses of an Isla single malt, both with a Coila and a Lafroig Lore, both absolutely fantastic whiskeys. My personal opinion, not having this blind, just knowing it, this is nowhere near as peaty as those. But you guys having it blind obviously got serious peat on this one.
Because there was no peat at all in the other two. Maybe the Cedar Ridge. I don't think so.
I didn't
correct.
get any peat in anything else.
Peat in the other two. So that kind of debunks a lot of people's theories on Westland needs to make peated whiskey peated. I hear that a lot, and I've said that. So I'm guilty of that as well. But
so is that one not peated?
No, it is.
It is.
Yeah, it's peated.
Oh, okay.
But it's
the Pacific Northwest peat. It's a milder peat.
It's different,
more earthy. It doesn't. They don't peat it as high, but I think something about the process. It's also. It comes across as really soft. Like if you have just had an Isla, like a for real Isla, it tastes like it almost doesn't have peat at all. Just like an earthiness. But you know why I went straight to Kalila? I went straight to Kalila because when I took the cap off, I got hit with this like charred peanut note.
Okay.
That for me always comes from Kalila. So I was locked in on Kalila from the second I opened it.
Donald Rance with a great point here. Yes, absolutely. I agree 100% with this statement.
Yep.
Oh, Westland and Brooklotti are sister distilleries?
Yeah, they're both owned by Remy.
I looked at every Brooklotti on Germ's list while I was trying to rule things out because it felt like that. It felt like possibly a Port Charlotte.
I had to amp up the peat after that sample, so I poured myself a little Octomore.
Hey, you're a good man.
Yeah, true, Donald. Tokai and Sauterne are both the Noble Rot Botrytis grapes. The only difference really is that one is from Bordeaux and one is from Hungary.
Yeah.
They're pretty similar. As wines, like there's a lot of overlap from the two wines in terms of brands.
The two whiskeys are super similar to each other. I'm drinking them. Okay. Well,
yeah,
that was great.
I suppose we better I better add all these up.
I'm amazed and delighted that the three samples that you picked out for me were all American single malts.
It's if I had a hand in selecting it, I would not have let that go. But since it was randomizer, I'm like, well, it is what it is. Because that would, obviously you are in tune on the single malt, American single malt scene. 6, 7.
You've seen my sample list has a tab of all the Scotch distilleries. Like before I got really into American single malt, I was like, which Scotch distilleries have I tried? Because I wanted to try one of everything. And about 6 months after that, I completely gave up on trying all the Scotches in the world and just decided that I'd rather try 250 distilleries worth of American single malt. That's been the mission ever since.
I'm with you there. Just double checking my math.
Yeah. By the way, Solum, great whiskey, and I'm not at all disappointed by the fact that that Cedar Ridge just barely aged out Solum second edition for me. If it was Solum first edition, I think that would have easily taken the cake for me.
Yeah. Okay, so that means Doug, you are our winner with a score of 7-4, and I feel like that hitting that distillery on Cedar Ridge really.
Oh yeah,
did it for you.
Yeah, getting an actual distillery hit is overpowered in this.
Yep,
for sure.
Congratulations, man.
Caleb, this was a lot of fun. I'm glad we got to go head to head.
Yeah,
and I'm glad you guys liked the samples. That does make it easier when you actually do like them.
Yeah,
honestly, there's very few whiskeys I come across that I don't like. So
I'm the same way. I have a hard time talking bad about any whiskey. Obviously, there's some that I like better than others, but
There's
there's a few.
I say I found one that I don't like, and it's still on my shelf. But
Is that the Abasolo or whatever the hell?
yeah, it's just too grainy.
There's
You know,
few
I
corn
just-
whiskeys that I just really don't like.
As the American single malt guy, I feel like I want to take this opportunity to point out that you just had two people who know a lot of Scotch who tried 3 American single malt whiskeys and thought that 2 of them were not American single malt.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
that says something about American single malt as a category. So anybody who's saying Americans can't do it like Scotland or like other countries, you got to take another look. Some of these distilleries are really killing it.
Yes.
But I really, on that same note, like I love Scotch, but I also like the way that American single malt is differentiating itself from Scotch. Like this whole new cask, like Balcones, they're killing it. But I do love that it touches on that and like keeps that tradition, but it's like we're gonna do our own thing too. So.
Yes. And
also, I just want to say for everybody who's celebrating that a Texan lost, just so you know, I also lived most of my life in Texas. So
Well,
I just happen to live in the Seattle area right now.
nice. Technically, I'm a Texan transplant. I'm not a native, so
Yeah, same. I was born in
chose
Jersey.
to go there.
Someone in the family chose.
All right. Well, excellent
hey,
stuff,
this was
guys.
fun.
Thank you to everybody tuning in. I appreciate you tremendously. Doug, Caleb, congratulations to you both. Doug, great job squeaking it out. And
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
So, Doug, that means for you, you are going up against Jack, the Hood Sommelier.
Oh, I'm so excited. He was talking
boy.
smack at me last week.
And that is on January 8th.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So that's also going to be a Thursday. I think. Oh no, that may not happen. No, that's going to be a Wednesday. Second round is all Wednesdays. I'm sorry. So yeah, the bracket is starting to get filled in. I'm going to snap a couple little pictures of it as it's getting filled in, and we'll put that up. But I'm excited. It's moving along. And until next week, everybody, thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I know I will. So
Absolutely.
cheers, and we'll see you next week.